Hi everybody, my name is Osherove and today we're going to discuss Loki, which you can see right here next to me. I've already connected it to Telegram, so we're going to do most of our work through the chat right here. And I find that this actual type of use has been amazing for me over the past probably over a month, almost a couple of months now. It's a great interface, and I mostly don't look at the code unless I really want to. But this is the first step. So imagine you just installed it, you hooked it up to Telegram. That's going to be a separate tutorial, but it's very easy to connect it. And I have my bot right here. So what do I do? What can I build with it? It's running on a new AWS account that I created just for like sandboxing purposes. What can I do? Well, you can see here that it can help me with a lot of stuff. Like it will look at my ops configs and it can build stuff for me. It can set up infrastructure. So it can do the entire loop thing from idea to coding the idea to actually deploying the entire idea in the AWS account. Not only that, I can use any AWS service that I want to because this loki-agent has full access to everything in my current AWS account. And it has basically admin access. So it can create EC2 instances, it can set up security gateways, API gateways, it can set up security services, Lambdas, backend services, S3 buckets, etc. So technically I can go to a fully deployed application that has login with Cognito, or set it up with Stripe, or set up basically any application here. Mostly just by chatting and reviewing the stuff that gets created. So I act more like a product manager or a product owner that is very highly technical. Also as an architect, because I do want to make sure that it's built the correct way. In many ways, this is like running with scissors. You can definitely shoot yourself in the foot. If you don't know what you're doing, it can build an app for you, and it can also keep it unsecure. So you have to make sure that you kind of know what you're doing here, or you get a person to help you to make sure that you're using guidelines. I will also show you that we can bootstrap it with some good guidelines. But even if you do that, you have to remember that LLMs are non-deterministic. They can still definitely make mistakes. So just because we feed it good information doesn't mean that it always follows it. So we have to create these processes between ourselves and the LLM, and even between the LLM and itself, as we can see maybe in future episodes, where you can actually have the LLM verify what it's supposed to do and that it does it the right way. But for now, let's just start with a simple thing. What can we do together? And meanwhile, I'll show you some of the workflow that I do. So before actually I start working or creating projects, I have a bunch of stuff that I've already done in other AWS account. The first thing that I like to do is I basically teach it some of my good project guidelines. And how do you do that? Well, I've codified it in some markdown files that you can bootstrap. So if we jump here to my browser in the let me just remove that. In the GitHub agent, in the GitHub repository for loki-agent, you can see that we have a bunch of folders. One of them is called Essential, the other is called Optional. So if you go to Essential, there's a bunch of bootstrapping scripts here. And there's like daily updates and how to do proper diagrams and alarms that you want to set. So I highly recommend setting up everything here. Now, how do you bootstrap something into loki-agent? Well, you literally just take the URL and you point it at it. But I'm going to just bootstrap one thing just so we can kind of set up coding guidelines here. And you can see this is just a markdown. So there's a bunch of what not to do and a bunch of do's. I'm not going to cover all of them, but you can take a look at it yourself, and you can of course configure your own. So I'm going to go to the chat window, and in the chat window, I'm just going to say read and bootstrap yourself based on, and you can use typos. Don't worry. And I'll just paste it here. And what's going to happen now is that the chat is gonna, you see it's kind of thinking and typing and all that stuff. Okay, so it's looking for coding standards, it's gonna read it, and it's actually going to set all that stuff as full reference in its own workspace. Okay, so done. It updated its agents.md. Agents.md is basically the file that gets loaded every time it reads a message from you or it wants to generate a message that gets into the context. So in there, it added a line and like token optimized coding rules, and with the full reference and memory updated. So now if I try to add a new project, we can try to create a new project here. Now, just for the sake of the demo, we will create a full stack application with a front end and a back end that uses a database. So it's going to be the simplest kind of a to-do app, but it's going to be full stack and it's going to require logins, and it's going to be it's going to have a CDN like with CloudFront, and what else? I think let's start there and see what happens. Okay, so new project. Create the world's friendliest to-do app. Think something like Trello, but the backend will use RDS. That's Amazon, an Amazon service for databases. I think Postgres fine, and CloudFront for CDN with login using Cognito. Create a user for me in Cognito user pool so I can log in under my email. What else? UI should be Next.js, TypeScript with shadcn. Keep it simple for now and allow different users to have different boards, tasks for each board with simple to do in progress done columns. We might want to add more columns or configure them later. Now, at this point, I can say if I kind of I'm okay with it kind of running for it, and I'm using Opus 4.6, which I kind of trust. I'm fine with it kind of working on it. I could just say brainstorm with me. So you know what? Let's do that brainstorm with me on this architecture. And let's see what happens. Restart for a second. Okay, so it's definitely generating a bunch of like tables and ideas here. Now I'm gonna look at this really quickly and see what happens. Okay, actually I'm gonna say, dude, no tables in Telegram looks bad. And that's maybe a rule that I can teach it for later. Okay, fair point. Let me update my notes so I never do that again. By the way, it always does that. I don't know. It's just a thing. I always have to kind of remind it. At some point it forgets that stuff. Okay, back to architecture. Let's look at the architecture. Okay, S3 static, files with an ALB for the API with an ECS. Okay, I'm fine with that. And RDS, incognito user pool. I think that's fine. We also want to make sure that the API is secure. So front end, static export, it's fine. Backend ECS Fargate versus Lambda. In this case, maybe ECS Fargate, you're already using RDS Postgres, avoids Lambda plus RDS connection headache. But you know what? I could just tell it to use Lambda. API layer, TRPC, REST. I think REST is more conventional. TRPC is a no-brainer. Okay, cool. Database schema, open questions. Custom domain or fine with CloudFront. Files we're going to be fine with CloudFront. I'm going to tell it just use REST, keep it simple. Create a new Cognito user pool, drag and drop. Yeah. Okay. So, one CloudFront also, and two REST, three new Cognito. Make sure both front end and API are guarded. Four drag and drop from day one. I like that. Also drag and drop, and also please use Lambda instead of ECS. Things simple. Okay, let's see what happens now. He's typing. Okay, updated plan, front end, API, DB, auth, new Cognito user pool with a Cognito authorizer. I'm fine with that. RDS proxy adds $15 per month. Standard fix for Lambda plus RDS connection. Well, yes, that's usually how you would fix connection pooling. That's fine. And if you don't know, if you have multiple Lambdas running in parallel, you could exhaust the connection pools on RDS. So an ECS gets like fixed connections, but for now we'll just use Lambda, and I'm fine with using RDS proxies just to show you that we can build like production scale apps here. One last thing. Use code commit plus code pipeline for all changes since we want full CI/CD. Use Terraform for infrastructure changes. Okay, let's see. So now I'm basically telling it to make sure that it follows good CI/CD rules, because eventually, once we like what we have, we want to get the code up and running and maybe export it or like graduate it to production source control. But for now, we can keep everything here, and code commit and code pipeline are part of the AWS stack. Okay, so it's setting up the board pipelines. I did not schedule a reminder in this turn, so this will not trigger automatically. Okay, now it wants to spin up a coding agent to start with Terraform. Okay, do it. Use sub agents with timeouts of like minutes. By default, it uses 5 minutes, and sometimes that's not enough for coding agents. Actually, before we do the coding agents, this is an important trick. I'm going to show you one more Bootstrap that I recommend. It's in the optional parts here. If you, by default, Loki is configured to use Opus 4.6 for everything, which can be quite expensive. So if you go to optional, to model config, and you give Loki this URL, first apply this Bootstrap. It will configure Loki to have the main agent be Opus 4.6. We want that, like the top thinking stuff. But all crons, heartbeats, and sub-agents will use Sonnet 4.6, which is much cheaper, does a great job, and then we can ask for a code review by Opus 4.6 at the end. So now it's like saying, okay, cool, makes sense. Go back to this view. So now it's applying. So it's still working. It's setting up the configuration, and then it's going to need to restart the gateway under OpenClaw to be able to apply these changes. So it's going to apply that. Okay, done. Cool. Now it's telling me it's going to restart the gateway. That's fine. And gateway restart. That's usually the message you'll get. Okay, so project name is taskboard. Maybe a better name for the project. Something fun. I don't know. Just to make it a bit more interesting. Can banana. Dunzo. Okay, can banana and banana. I like the vibe. Okay, locked in. Update the plan. Okay, it's updating. Yeah, start building. Now it's gonna kick off sub-agents, specifically one for the Terraform. Oh, it's noticing Claude code is available. Now, I'm going to actually make it stop. Don't use Claude code. Use built-in sub-agents, please. The reason is that Claude Code does a great job, but it's basically Claude underneath anyway, and it has better communication with the sub-agents by default. But technically, we have Claude Code installed as well, but so we don't get things too like complex for the demo, you don't have to use Claude Code. Might need extra configuration and stuff like that. Now it's kicking off the agents. Now technically, it will tell you the agents, and it's actually building 3 repositories. Okay, and by default I also told it to have reminders to check on the agent status, but that's fine. By the way, if you want to, you can say I think agent, there's like sub-agents, and show all the different agents in this session. This is the name of the agent, the sub-agent. Now there's a bunch of other commands. Stop is the one that I use sometimes. If you want to see the status of the current gateway, this is running OpenClaw on the main path. There's a bunch of stuff here. So approve, who am I, etc. I mostly don't use these things. You can use steer to steer agents, but I'll just tell it to steer the sub-agents to do stuff. You can set thinking mode to higher if you want to. You can turn verbose on so you can see all the sub-commands it runs. It will get pretty noisy, but it's pretty useful. And you can change the model, of course. Okay, this is the point where, because this can be run on your phone or anything, you just go and start doing other stuff. It will start working on that in parallel. So there's a lot of like back and forth, but you mostly go and do other stuff. The agent does most of the work. That's it. So we're gonna let it run for a bit and come back to it. Now, it's been a minute, but if you want, you can just ask, how is the work going? Still running, about 2 minutes in, using Opus. So it's being thorough. Should be using Sonnet 4.6 Opus. Make it use that. So sometimes I'll just ask the agent to see why that was configured. And of course, they'll say, oh, you're right, and I missed it. So be prepared. They do make mistakes, of course. It'll let it finish, but for all future sub-agents, I'll use Sonnet 4.6. Noted for future. Is there some config you can set to make that always Okay, there is agents, default sub-agents model. So let's set that was actually in the markdown. So you have to remember, bootstraps are not deterministic. Okay, it's set the agent now. Next time we'll use 4.6. No more oops. Famous last words. Okay, let's let it run. Let's let it cook. Actually, you know what is the work now? So you see, I kind of have to babysit it. There's a bunch of like plugins for OpenClaw. Now, I highly recommend you do not install any Claw Hub plugins because a lot of them are infected with prompt injection attacks. So people can easily take control and exfiltrate your AWS account. So I install 0 Claw Hub plugins. I only install a few MCPs from AWS and the bootstraps that I give it. Let's let it. Okay, let's check on it. Is it going? Remember, I'm like on the train now. Oh, it failed. This is the gateway draining for restart. Interesting. So sometimes that happens. Maybe it's updating itself. Let's see what happens. I'll just send a question. Okay, gateway restarted. How's it going? Remember to use Sonnet for sub-agents. It's okay to kill and resume a new sub-agent. Let's see. Loki, are you awake? Okay. Already timed out and finished, no need to kill it. Got about Sonnet follow-up agent is running now, reviewing all the existing code and filling up the gaps. Sonnet is also going to be faster. Okay, viewing and tight, it's done. Okay, we're still going on with our business. We're having lunch, we're on the train, we're shopping, we're working with 2 other agents, 2 other projects. This is just the beginning. This is the initial, let's call it initial phase where you're just setting up the initial infrastructure. You're not really doing anything other than just talking to the agent at this point and just verifying with it stuff every once in a while. Okay, time to check on it. How's it going? Still chugging. Reviewing, completing all 3 repos. Should be faster than the first pass, and scaffolding already exists. Let you know when it finishes. Cool. What's the time? Okay, 10 minutes. That's fine. Bump it higher. Future, make it 15. Okay, let's give it some time. Well, I'm back from my coffee or my other meetings, etc. Let me check up on it. Any progress? It's done. I sent you an update a moment ago. It didn't. Might have crossed the wires. Okay, Can Banana is complete. Of course, when it says complete, it always kind of rushes me with joy, but let's see. Follow-up agent reviewed everything, fixed. Can Banana infra. Okay, let's run it once, but then it should all be run using code pipeline, which is like the GitHub Actions, but yes, after this initial. So now it's going to run Terraform to set up all the infrastructure. Now, eventually the pipelines will also need to be set up with the right permissions, and it'll figure it out. So now it's running it. Let's see how that works. Okay, it ran the plan. This is a summary of the plan. The Terraform also builds the code commit and the code pipelines. That's part of the stuff here. It's going to need a NAT gateway, RDS proxy, okay, that's fine. So about $60 a month to run this as an example. And this is part of just how AWS operates, and it's part of the infrastructure of making real applications instead of just like hosting them on Lovable or like that. But the point is we own it. It's in our account. And we can, of course, choose different architect or anything else. Now it's running it in the background, and we'll see how that works out. Oh, I like that it says, let you know when it's done or if any. Cool. Again, I'm going to go back and have coffee or talk to people or think or work with other agents. So this whole thing is happening kind of offline. Imagine it like you basically now have like a teammate who's in charge of all the ops and the coding stuff running in the cloud to make this happen. You're coming up with the ideas, basic architecture and everything, and it operates and it monitors everything as well, and will help us debug. Things will not work, and they will not work by default because nothing ever works by default when it's just on the first. We'll see. Okay, it's been a couple of minutes. Let's ask it how it's going. Did it work? Okay, so it's still going. CloudFront, distribution, RDS are both provisioning. That's fine. Everything already created. What would be the CloudFront URL? It will tell me everything later as well, but let's see how it works. Oh, it doesn't even know it yet. It will know only after it finishes deploying. Okay, that's cool. Let's give it some time, and I'll go back to having coffee or something. Okay, time to check in on our agent. Yes, I am checking in on it. How's it going? Okay, CloudFront is running. RDS still provisioning. Last big one. Once it's up, Terraform will create it. Let's let it run for a few more minutes. Why does RDS provisioning take so long? Launching, it's managed. Okay, check on the progress. Maybe it's stuck. Won't be stuck, but I'm just kind of verifying. Sometimes it like to gaslight you. And it will come up with a reason. It's actually already available, you see. Terraform just hasn't caught up yet. It's probably doing a final state refresh any second now, and then move on to RDS proxy and Lambda. Not stuck, just a slight lag between marking it in Terraform. Okay, that's fine. So let's give it a few more minutes. Back to my cop. Okay, let's check on it now. Okay, RDS proxy. Okay, so it moved on to RDS proxy. Cognito user and RDS service linked role errors got passed. Okay, RDS proxy is in the last low resource. That's fine. And after that, Lambda API gateway deployment, API pipeline, SM params, all fast stuff. Okay, so you can see that like there's a difference between really writing the code out fast, like imagine using Cursor or Kiro, and then you have to get to the infra stage, and you can create the plan, but getting the permissions and getting everything up and running and making sure it actually works and debugging the entire thing, that stuff is the next friction point. So this is really kind of working through that very relatively easily, and we'll see how it works. So I'll go back to doing other stuff and I'll pause the video just like I did before. As you can see in the time differences here, I think we started it, when did we start this? We started, I think it started running. No, okay. When did we start planning this? 12:43. It's, you know, so it's just basically an hour later since like just the idea, and that included the configuration, and we're almost close to finishing deploying the first version, which of course will probably not work, but we're probably like from calendar time within the next 30 minutes it's going to be running. I'd be surprised if not, based on my previous experience writing other stuff. So let's let it run, let's let it cook. Okay, let's ask it any news. Imagine if I was the product owner, and if you were the developer and I was your product owner, and every like 5 minutes I'd ask you any news. You'd be heartbroken, or I would be heartbroken, or shot. I don't know. Anyway, let's ask it. It's done, yay! Okay, so that's our front end, it's our API, it's our login, and now technically I can just grab the temp password. So code commit repos are ready and empty, waiting for code. Want me to push the API and UI code to trigger the pipelines. First of all, I don't know, let's kind of see how this is going. Let's see, I'm gonna change to, so you can see this, okay, and I see access denied CloudFront. So I'm gonna go to Graham and jump here. So let's just tell it what I'm seeing. As expected, S3 bucket is empty, no file yet. There's nothing to serve. Let me push the code to code commit now. That'll trigger the pipelines, the app live. Okay, to that point, push the API and the UI. If not triggered, might need event start. Okay, they kicked off. Make them kick off automatically. Pipelines run. Meanwhile, okay, it's setting up the event. Check what's missing. No event, of course. Terraform didn't include that one. We need V2. And I think now notice as it talks, it does stuff and I write stuff to it, but by default all my messages get queued until it finishes the current turn. So right now it's working on the previous message, and it might take a while, and only then it will process my new message. And so that's something you have to remember when you're dynamic. If you type something, you might only get a response after. If you really wanted to listen to you right now, you have to do /stop, so it stops working on the other stuff. And then it says, oh, now you see, now it says good call, V1 is being deprecated, big rewrite needed, V2 pipelines have built-in triggers. Yep, so this is an example of something that I might want to add later to like the Bootstrap. So using code commit, only use V2 of code commit. By the way, most people don't even know what code commit is. It's like the GitHub version of AWS. Not really a lot of people use it, but it's great for having like internal working stuff for Loki. So I'm using it, so that way I don't have to set up a different GitHub. But technically, you could just give it your GitHub credentials and we'll set up a GitHub repo for you and everything. Maybe we'll do that later, but for now, let's just do this. Applying, upgrading. So it basically upgraded the Terraform stuff. Did it work? Both still building. Code build is doing npm CI bundling. These first, okay, that's fine. You know what? Meanwhile, I'll show you like the code commit, so you can see the source. If I click on code commit, we should be able to see our repositories here. You can see 3 repositories. Infra. If we look at infra, we can see the code here. You see API gateway and CI/CD and all that cool stuff. I don't know. Let's look at. Okay, cool. So this is our code. Let's see how task is doing. You didn't actually see. This is the. I didn't show you my screen. Sorry. So this is the example of the code in code commit. So if I go to code commit and see all my repositories in this account, you see 3 accounts, 3 repositories. Yeah. So like this is an example of the UI. So like a Next.js application, our source, app, components, auth, board, like a board view. What happens? Cool. A bunch of stuff here. Let's see how our stack is doing. Done. It's done. Let's see. Let's try rush. Oh, that's cool. You see, Cabanana. This is my login. Let me grab my login real. Actually, you know what? Since I'm gonna delete this anyway, I'm gonna change my password. Give me my password from secrets manager, please. Change. Okay. That's my password. Sending you a separate message, and it sent it. Okay, cool. So that's my email. That's fine. And I'll save it. I'll use the same password for now. I'm gonna change it later when nobody's watching. Cool. So now, actually hide the Telegram for a second. You can see there's like a new board, but I see an error failed. What if I look at this and I see, okay, there's a problem here. Failed to fetch resource. Turn Telegram back on, and I'm gonna say, dude, after login. This is after login. See what the problem is. Later, use Playwright MCP to test the app yourself. Create a test login user for yourself as well. Okay, so we'll let it run. It's now checking the Lambda logs. Let's see what happens. Classic Prisma plus Lambda issue. Prisma query engine binary isn't being copied. Deployment package. Let me check the build spec and fix it. Spec looks correct. Copies Prisma engine binary. Likely code build ran ARM64. Native resolved the right target. Engine file naming. New issue. Deploy actually worked. Wait command failed. So there was like a missing permission in the build, and Prisma engine copied. Okay, so it's trying to debug the issue basically at this point. That's kind of the point. Is that this stuff helps a lot with debugging. Okay, Prisma engine wasn't in the right place. It's gonna try to fix it. By the way, I remembered. Remember to add git secrets to all repos so we do not commit secrets. All secrets should be in SSM. That's secrets manager. I think that should already be true, but I'm just verifying. Okay, so it pushed the fix. It's going to run the pipeline. Now it's creating a test user for automated testing, and it's actually going to run like a manual QA. Later we'll talk about like automating this test, but just so you can see what the experience is like, it works. Okay, now about the DB migration. We need to run Prisma migrate against it. It's VPC access. Let me handle it by SQL direct. It's a private VPC. Migration from inside the VPC. Add a migration step. We do want add a migration. Let's see. Add a migration lambda or update the API lambda auto connect. I think I'm fine with auto migration to the app start, but it should be part of the CI/CD pipeline. So here I'm just telling it to do migrations as part of CI/CD, which is important. So now it triggers it, and it created a test user for itself. Now it's triggering the pipeline. The first API call will create the DB tables and everything. Checks. Okay, and it added git secrets with AWS patterns installed in all 3 repos. Any commit containing secrets should be blocked. Try to check for secrets now on repo. I'll retry these. We're both pipeline secret scan. Let's just resting. Oh, different error. No, same. To fetch boards. All 3 repos clean. Refreshing. Now it says failed to fetch boards. Oh, interesting. I see failed to fetch. So I'm gonna copy that and say refreshed. The U failed to rush board error. Okay, check the secrets. Meanwhile, that's fine. Okay, interesting. Prisma engine issue is fixed. It's connecting now, but it can't reach the database. Lambda is in the C, can't connect to the RDS proxy. Let me check security groups. Okay, this is like watching like a Sherlock Holmes trying to figure out the investigation. It's going to see. Check. Okay, TLS is required, and Prisma connection string has SSL required. That's correct. Just a timing issue. RDS proxy target. Few more minutes to establish connections. Let's see. Once it shows available, API will work. Proxy target is still warm. It's the last piece. Once it connects, not skip. The reminder is a thing that I asked it in heartbeats to check on sub-agents. Now we can just ignore that. I'm just going to try to refresh. See what happens. Still same issue. Actually, this time 2 different issues. I like to have different issues. Different issues in UI. Okay, says 2 different issues on cores, 502. You need to fix cores in the API gateway level so it doesn't headers, even on errors. Cool. Cores issues are always annoying, but that's good. Proxy still scaling. This can take up to 10 first boot. Keep checking the proxy and ping. It's okay. Added the core stuff. Adds it. Try. Okay, different error. Now just 502 bad gate. I refresh again. Fresh. Yeah. Now technically I'll just tell it to start doing the testing itself. In a second I'll do that. Still pending proxy capacity check and can we skip RDS proxy? We built this out. Good call. For dev, let me RDS. We can always add the RDS proxy later. Wait, the nvar is database proxy host, Prisma connection URL. Let me also update connection string. ls is direct the same VP. Make it a feature flag so we can choose to use RDS proxy or direct for. Make it also possible to choose that as a checkbox in the UI that will call the API to apply this feature flag. Brainstorm. What should we use for feature? Keep it. You can see now like brainstorming with it. Meanwhile, I'll just give it a try for a sec while it thinks about stuff. Okay. For a simple app, I'd keep it that simple. SSM parameter store. That's fine. Or using it for config. Free, no new infra. Lambda already has read access. Option 2, DynamoDB table. Option 3, just a DB column. Does AWS have any feature flag features? AWS have a service for that, or is SSM it? Very fine. AWS app can purpose built for this exact use case. Free tier 1 million API calls. Parameter store works for basic off on, but it's not designed for adaptation or rollout. I think it's the right call. It's still SSM family, but gives you flag profiles. Honestly, for a dev setup, doesn't matter much. I agree. You know what, just for fun, let's use DynamoDB. I think a lot of, that's what I would usually use for simple stuff like that. Just use a DynamoDB. You know what, no, SSM already exists, so yeah, SSM store is fine for now. Let's see how the website is doing meanwhile. How is the website doing? Still see Lambda using RDS yet? It's gonna be succeeded. Lambda was updated. Pipeline shows failed. Probably is from chat. Now at this point, I might start adding notifications into my Telegram. So actually, that's exactly I think what I'm going to do. Oh, it's the build. Let's see. Now it's looking at the status. But okay, I'll actually add some build notifications for myself. So if I go here and say into optional, let's do pipeline notifications, and I'll bootstrap that too. I'll just refresh for a second. Actually, we should disable CloudFront caching while we dev so that we can not worry about the cache for CloudFront. And also apply pipeline notifications bootstrap into my RAM. Use secrets stored. Lambda is pointing, latest fix hasn't deployed yet. I want to know when stuff gets deployed. So I want to have these notifications in my Telegram. Let's see. Okay, CloudFront caching disabled. Let's try to refresh. No, still an issue. We'll see what happens. It only needs part 1, code pipeline Telegram to open. Let me set it up. I'll use Telegram bot token, clock config, or chat. That's fine. Use playwright to test the website yourself and see if issues exist. Nope, still an issue. It's not gonna create it, probably issue, yeah, exactly. But it's cool to see that the login already works. We have like these initial stuff. Pipeline notifications are live. Let's see if that works out. Event bridge will start catching pipelines, and the next pipeline run should ping us, and let's see if that works out. Okay, now it's gonna start looking using playwright. Okay, no browser available. Let me use web fetch. No, stop. Use actually let me use the bootstrap for the pipeline stuff or essential. Let's do. It's very simple. Have playwright apply this because it uses MC Porter, which is built into OpenClaw, but sometimes the agent doesn't remember that. Just gonna remind it for a second. Okay, so let's see what happens now. Okay, so it downloaded Chromium, missing system dependencies, installing them now locally on the EC2 instance for Loki. Then it'll be able to do everything we need to do. While that's happening, I'll go back and I'll just refresh just to see. Sometimes things work out asynchronously, but which they don't. That's fine. Okay, Playwright is ready. 22 tools, healthy. Let me test the website. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, dependencies installed. Login page, and it's gonna log in with the test user. Works, and it says the issue that I see failed to fetch boards. The API is still cool. We check if the latest pipeline has deployed. Lambda is not connecting to RDS directly. Near is the table public. So where did it get this? It's getting it from all of our different logs. Okay, the auto migrate isn't running. It's the auto migrate execute. Actually, a simpler approach. Let me just invoke existing Lambda event to trigger the check. Actually, migration should happen from CI/CD pipeline. It's actually checked. Now you can see it's not typing, but it is running stuff in the back. So that's why it's not answering me. Technically, if I did like verbose on, I should start seeing some stuff happening in the background. That's not always working perfectly in Telegram. If I was connecting using SSH or SSM, then I would see much more verbose stuff happening. But it should start working on the next invocation. Oh, look, we got the pipeline notification. That's good. So we can see that it's actually changing stuff in the background. So now when pipelines start, we'll see which pipeline and what the commits are. So it's very easy to see now the status. So we got all that stuff working, like all the glue to get stuff into our Telegram, like in 30 seconds. Okay, we can see that our pipeline succeeded. That's good. See what happens now. I'm actually gonna switch back just to see. Okay. Ooh, lots of stuff happening. Okay, pushed. Here's what changed. Removed auto migrate. Now it's again starting the API brand. Git secrets, auto migrate from Lambda, added PrismaDB push to code build phase. That's good. That's everything I wanted it to do. Good stuff. So now Kibana API moved DB migration to CI/CD like I asked. So you see sometimes it just kind of hangs and waits. Here he said, oh, you're right, migration from Lambda cold start is fragile, etc. Put code build, PC, DX push, I'm fine. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. So now it's committing and the pipeline should finish soon, fresh. So the CI/CD should run after the API stuff happens, DB migration. So right now it's all about the DB migration. Okay, so let it run, let it cook. Okay, our pipeline succeeded. Remember, we're all doing this in parallel while we're doing other stuff, right? We're a phone, basically. We're just talking to it. We don't have to be on our computer. I'm just kind of testing stuff out just for the demo purposes. But also you could just do that from your phone while you're doing other stuff. Okay, so the CI succeeded. Let's see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen at this point. Okay, still an API server error. Try using the website again. Let's see. We'll let it find it itself. We'll see. So you can see now because I turned verbose mode on, it's actually, you can see what's happening under. So he checked the pipeline statuses. Still logged in as Roy. It should be logged in as its own test user. You should be logging in as test user, not as me. Remember this for next time. This will get queued. Lambda is still pointing at RDS proxy, not the direct RDS. Update function got overwritten. Pipeline deployed new code. Yeah, you should only make changes via code commit and not. Okay, now it's running the Terraform proxy host. So you can see it can get sometimes messy, but that's kind of the point, is that you have something that helps you get this. Okay, now we change the pipeline. I'll turn verbose mode. It will only get applied after it finishes the current turn. Now it's waiting 3 minutes. Code pipe. Good catch. Sorry about that. From now on, I'll always test you. I'll refresh the web page. Okay, hey, no errors. Look at that. That's interesting. Okay, close this down. Psst, this here is going on here. I'll create a first board. Test one. Ooh, I see a real board. That's pretty cool. Okay, I have some to-do stuff here. I'll add a task. Get milk. Oh, I don't like that it has like this. We're gonna change this. Like the task shouldn't use like a JavaScript prompt, but for now, it's gonna. Oh, looks like it added the task. Let me just refresh, see what happens. Okay. I see the board and I see the task. Let's see what happens if I drag and drop. Are there any errors? No, seems to be working. Let's refresh. Cool. Okay, this is another test description. Save. Descriptino. Okay, that's cool. Cool. Meanwhile, it's testing, it's changing stuff, it's adding the rule for pushing the code commit. Okay, so we have a new board. Let's do a new board, test 2. Yeah, we have a working app. UI needs work. It does. Okay, but now we have a working full stack application after all the configuration issues and all that stuff. Actually, let's add a column. Testing. I don't know. I like waterfall. Okay, I see testing. Oh, but I can't move. Okay, let's add a feature. Allow me to move columns left, right. So using drag and drop. So you can see now that's the stuff where you can start iterating. But what is it? So it's basically an hour and a half, including all of the different stuff that I did on a calendar. An hour and a half on a calendar, but maybe like 10-20 minutes of my time prompting, and all of it was the agent, including fully deployed app that you can actually sign in, play with, right? So now I can go and, well, it's still working on, it's waiting for the pipeline to run, and then it's going to run its own test. And now at this point, I just start iterating application. So in this demo, you saw what it's like to create an application from scratch that is full stack, that actually has like login, a real database behind it, etc. Now, this application uses all AWS infrastructure, and we own all of it. And of course, this is a simple application. We could have done this application with a graph database. We could have done it with S3 backing. We have CloudFront enabled. We have security enabled. We can add anything we want to it. And we didn't need to deploy anything. Once we got all the configuration out of the way, which we didn't really do anything about it, we let the agent handle it. Now we can start iterating really, really quickly. And when it didn't work, we got full debugging happen. And meanwhile, we have an agent that can also do API testing. It can do automated testing. It can do QA manual testing style. It can use Playwright. So we have basically a working prototype in an hour and a half for full stack application that we own all of the pieces in it. So if we wanted to, it could use background APIs to connect to our existing applications in our company if we wanted to. We are not limited by anything here. Okay, API done. Okay, so I'm just going to continue working on it, but I think you kind of get the idea. So hopefully you start to see the value of what Loki can bring to your organization. See you in the next videos. Maybe we'll build some more complicated stuff later on, and we'll see how easy or hard that is.